Welcome guys to a whole new video, and in this video guys I'm going to show you how to set up browser use web-based AI agent, and in this particular case I'm going to show you how to set it up on Windows operating system. So you guys can follow through the installation guys. It gives you options to set it up on Windows operating system, and if you're running on Mac and Linux distributions, then you can follow the same installation guide that is published on the official GitHub repository page. So browser use is a web-based AI agent that is capable of interacting with your local browser, and in this particular case we're going to use browser use AI agent to perform some of the ethical hacking activities. We're going to run some of the attacks and test it out against some of the web applications that are available in the public domain. So basically we are going to use the knowledge base that is supplied by LLMs, which are large language models. And if you see from the documentation, you can see that some of the supported large language models include the Google LLMs, OpenAI, Azure, Anthropic, DeepSeek, and Olama. So if you guys have accounts created from these AI platforms, then you can pull the API keys from these platforms and connect it to your browser-based AI agent and run some of these attacks. So before we do anything, as you can see that guys, the first step is to clone the repository, and in order to clone the repository we need GitHub installed in our machine. So just to confirm, I'm going to run some commands from the CMD to confirm if we have Git installed in our system. Aside from that, you can see that from the second step you're supposed to set up a Python environment, and in order to set up a Python environment we also require Python to be installed in our system. So if you guys are using Linux and Mac distributions, then Git and Python should come installed by default. But if you guys are using Windows, then follow through the next steps so that I can show you guys how to install and run browser use AI agent. So the first step is to confirm if we have Git, and as you can see guys, Git is not installed in our system. We'll do the same with Python and prompt the version, and we also don't have Python installed in our system. So let's proceed by installing Git from the official Git repository, which is the official GitHub Git page. So we'll navigate to downloads, and in this case we want to download a Windows setup file. So depending on your system architecture, you can choose the x64 or the ARM64. Then on a separate page, we'll navigate to the official Python page and also download the Python setup file. So the version that we're downloading for Python is Python version 3.13.7, and the versions may differ depending on the dates that you're downloading the specific Python setup file. So before you do anything guys, if you're installing browser use on your Windows operating system, make sure that you have Git and Python installed in your system so that we can clone the repository and set up the Python environment. So once the download is complete, we'll start with Git and we'll install Git as administrator. we'll select these options so that we can add the official Git icon on our desktop. So it depends on your preference. In my case, I want it to appear on the desktop, so I'll select this option, click next, next. Then we'll leave all the options selected to the default settings. So click next and proceed to install. So we'll click finish to complete the setup wizard, and close the browser. Then the next step, we'll proceed and install Python in our system. So make sure to select both of these options. The first option will enable admin privileges when executing the Python installer. Then the second option will add the Python executable into the system path. And click install now. Then we select these options so that we can disable the path length limit. And once you select that option, click close. And right now we have Python and Git installed in our system. So the next step is to proceed and install browser use AI agent. So we'll follow the local installation guide, but if you check from the GitHub repository, we have two options. So you can install it as a Docker image, or you can install it locally on your machine. So we'll proceed with the first option. And as you can see, the first step is to clone the repository. So we'll open PowerShell. Then just to confirm, we'll check our Python version. And as you can see guys, we're running Python 3.13.7 version. So we'll run the first command so that we can clone the repository. So right now our repository is cloned. We navigate to the web UI directory by using the cd command. And if we list all the files in the current working directory, you can see some of the files that are in this working directory. Then we proceed to the next step, where we're supposed to set up a Python environment. So they recommend using UV for setting up the Python environment. So what you'll do is click on this link, open in a new tab. Then UV installation gives you two options. So from Mac and Linux distributions, you can use the curl command. In the Windows environment, you can execute this command on your PowerShell. So that's what we'll do. We'll copy by clicking on the clipboard icon, and we'll paste it over here. So this command sets the execution policy to bypass and install the install.ps1 file that is from this specific link. We'll hit enter. Then we'll give it some time to download UV and install it in our system. So the next step, after we download and install UV, we'll set it up on our path, and we'll use the second option since you're running this command on our PowerShell window. So right now we have UV set up to path and installed in our machine. The next step is to proceed and copy this command. So what we'll do is close PowerShell, and this time I'm going to switch to command prompt. If you want to proceed with PowerShell, you can proceed with PowerShell, but I'm going to show you another alternative because they've given two options to install it from command prompt and from PowerShell. So we're going to use command prompt. Then we'll navigate to our web UI directory. Then we'll use UV by copying this command, which will activate and initialize the virtual environment. next step, since you're running it on a command prompt, we're going to activate a virtual environment using the venv command, scripts, then /activate. So right now, if you can check the first section over here, we can see changes from the first part. And right now, we are running our browser use web UI agent in a virtual environment. So the next step, we've already completed step number 2. We're going to install the necessary dependencies from our requirement.txt file, and we list some of the files, so you can use dir since you're running command prompt. So you can see some of the files that are over here, and we have our requirements.txt file. If you want to check the contents of the requirement.txt file, you can use any editor that is supported in your system. In my case, since I'm running on Windows, I'll use Notepad. If you're running on Linux and Mac distributions, then you can use gedit or nano editor in order to check the contents of the requirement.txt file. So as you can see, these are some of the programs that are within the requirements.txt file, and these packages will automatically install in your system once you execute the pip command. So pip command will install all the packages that are listed in the requirements.txt file. So close Notepad, then we switch back again to our virtual environment. And we proceed to install the Python packages. So there you have it, guys. We've installed the packages that are listed in the requirements.txt file. The next step is installing the browsers. So depending on your preference, if you want to install a specific browser like Chromium, you can choose the second option, but I would proceed to use the first option since you're using a different browser that is separate from Chromium. So we'll install the browsers using Playwright. Copy this command and paste it, and give it some time to install the browsers. Remember, guys, this will be the browser that will be interacting with our local system, and once we query the commands from the AI agent, then this specific AI agent will interact with the browser that is installed in your system. So right now we have the browser installed using Playwright. So we're going to proceed with the next step, where we'll copy the environment file, which is denoted with the extension .env. And once we copy, I'm going to show you guys the contents of this specific environment file. So in order to access the contents of the file, we'll use Notepad. And as you can see guys, our env file contains direct API key pulls from different LLM providers, and we have the specified URLs where these specific API keys can communicate with. And as you can see guys, we have different LLMs that are supported by browser use. If you want to adjust the port and use a different port, then you can adjust it from the environment file. So in our case, I'll show you guys how you can insert the API keys and enable browser use to communicate to the knowledge base of some of these LLMs. But before we do that, I'm just going to close this. Then we'll test out browser use so that we can confirm that everything is running as required. So the last step is running the web user interface, and we'll execute a Python script called web ui.py, which is a Python file, and the IP that will specify is our localhost IP 127.0.0.1 on the specified port 7788. So once you copy this command, give it some time and it will generate a link. So there we have it. We have our link over here, and we'll access it on the specified port, which is port 7788. So we'll try and open this link and see if browser use was installed in our system. And as you can see guys, we have the web user interface of browser use, and we can confirm that browser use was installed successfully. And we have a couple of options over here which we'll come to, but for now what we'll do is we'll close this tab and also close the launcher. And depending on the browser that is installed in your system, you can specify the browser path on our env file. So in this case, since we have Chrome installed in our system, you can decide to use the browser path that is specified to the Chrome profile, which is located in the program files Google Chrome application chrome.exe. Then it will pull the user data in the event that you want to store some of your browser profiles. Then you can specify the directory where the user data in the Chrome profile is stored. So what we'll do again is we'll open the env file, and we'll use Notepad. And we'll scroll down to the section where it's listed as browser settings, and we'll copy this path. So it depends. If you want to use Microsoft Edge, then we'll copy the path to Microsoft Edge. If you're using Opera Mini or any other browser, just copy the path and paste it in the env file. So this is our path, and this is where our browser data will be stored. So right now we specified our browser, which is our Chrome executable, and we specified the user data. So what we'll do is we'll close this window and make sure that we save the changes. Before we run our browser use web UI interface, what we'll do is we'll extract our API keys from OpenAI. So for those of you guys who want to extract OpenAI API keys, you can move and open this link, which is platform.openai.com/API keys. Make sure that you create an account. Then you can purchase the API keys as tokens depending on your budget. Then once you purchase the tokens, you can select the API keys option over here, then create a new API key. So we can call this key browser use. Then we'll select create secret key. Then once we have that selected, it will give you an API key over here, which you're supposed to copy. Then we'll come and modify our env file using Notepad. Then we'll go to the specific section where it's pointing to the OpenAI API key. Then we'll paste our API key over here. So if you have your Anthropic API key, then you're going to paste it over here. And depending on the platform that you're using, you're going to paste your API key in that specific selection. So right now we have our env file modified so that it can pull the knowledge base from OpenAI LLMs. We've also modified it so that it can use our default browser, which is Chrome. And what we'll do now is we'll save this file. Then once again, we'll start browser use web interface. So we're going to start browser use again, and we'll navigate to the directory, which is web. Then we'll activate the virtual environment using this command. Then finally, we'll execute the web UI Python script so that we can initiate our browser web application. So we'll copy this command as well. And remember guys, we'll access this web interface on the port 7788. So give it some time to load and give you the link, then try and access browser use on the web interface. So we'll copy this link and make sure that you close any instances in your machine that might be running on Chrome. So any browser instance that is running on Chrome, make sure to close it before you access the web interface. So you might decide to use a different browser other than Chrome. So we have different browsers like Microsoft Edge. If you're using Mozilla Firefox, you can use it separately as well. So I would advise that you try and use a different browser from Chrome. So we have our web user interface, and what I'll do is I'll insert my API key. So let me just insert my API key. So we have the API key. The LLM that we're using is OpenAI. Remember, we extracted the API key from OpenAI, which was from platforms. Then we'll leave the rest of the settings to the default settings. And what we'll do now is we'll try and run an initial command and see if browser use works as intended. So I'll type anything. You can type anything that you want. Then just to make sure, let me check if Chrome is still running any instance on my machine. Because remember guys, the browser that you're using is Chromium based. So let me submit this task and we'll leave it and see. As you can see, you have a browser over here. I'll just keep it on the left side. And as you can see guys, browser use managed to open a browser, which was Chromium, and navigated and extracted the information that we gave it in the prompt. So the next step is we'll try and conduct an attack on a web application. And basically what we'll do is we'll create our own prompt that we'll insert in browser use. Then we'll try and test it and see if the LLMs can actually hack the websites and extract the flags that are required in the vulnerabilities. So we're going to run one web application attack against vulnerable machines in PortSwigger. So if you don't have an account, you can register. It's free of charge. And the vulnerability that we'll try and target is a reflected XSS vulnerability. If you want to access the labs, you can access them from the Academy section. So I already have a prompt prepared. And what we'll do is we'll submit this prompt on browser use and see if we can use the knowledge that is extracted from the LLMs in order to find some of these vulnerabilities. So let me insert a specific task in the chat box. And basically what I'm trying to showcase here is how we can use AI in order to perform some of the ethical hacking activities and try and identify some of the hidden vulnerabilities. So it's a PortSwigger machine that we're trying to target, and the vulnerability that we're trying to expose is the reflected cross-site scripting vulnerability. So we'll submit the task. What we'll do is we'll clear the context again, then we'll submit the task. Then we'll wait and see. So we have Chromium opened. As you can see guys, we managed to solve the lab and we inserted the alert XSS vulnerability and we solved this lab. So this video showcases how you guys can use the knowledge from different LLMs. In this case, we use the knowledge base from OpenAI LLMs in order to try and exploit some of these vulnerabilities from web application. So that's it for this video. If you have any questions, please drop it in the comment section. And make sure to like it and share and subscribe, and see you on the next one.